Well, today's video is going to be a little different than our normal videos. Today, the crew and myself wanted to take a moment to reflect on the life of Akira Toriyama, who passed away on March 1st, 2024, from a blood clot in the brain at the age of 68. Um, So no real like introduction like we would normally do for this video. We just kind of want to share with you guys um, our, fondest memories of, experiencing Toriyama's work, whether it was Dragon Ball or Doctor Slump or Dragon Quest or Blue Dragon or anything like that. And um, and just kind of pay tribute to his life and his legacy and how many things have been influenced by Toriyama and Dragon Ball specifically, from back then going forward into today's anime and manga culture. So, um, I guess I can just start by saying that it kind of almost doesn't feel real, like with everybody talking about it recently. Like it kind of at first sounded like it was like a prank because like the internet is just full of practical jokes nowadays. So I didn't really believe it at first until so many news outlets started reporting on it, and even after confirming that he is no longer with us, it still just feels weird, especially because Toriyama was in the process of making new Dragon Ball stuff for us to consume. There's still manga being produced. There's the Dragon Ball Daima anime series that has still yet to come out. There's Sparking Zero, the Dragon Ball game that's coming out. There's a whole lot of stuff that's happening in Japan. They're opening new businesses in order to focus on like a lot of Dragon Ball stuff going forward. So I'm assuming the plan is more Dragon Ball, of course, but it's going to feel weird without Toriyama going forward. It's going to feel weird knowing exactly where Toriyama's hand left off with the story and with his works. So the most involved thing that we're gonna get is that Dragon Ball Daima anime. That was like the last anime related thing that he was working on. So before I share anything like personal account wise, let's go around the room real quick, and if you guys can just share your favorite Dragon Ball moment with the audience. Like what would that moment be for you guys? Mac, what would you say?
My favorite Dragon Ball moment in all of Z, it has to be teen Gohan, even though he was like 12. Preteen teen Gohan.
Yeah,
um
thank you.
doing the doing the father son kamehameha. That probably, even though it took about 7 episodes to get to.
Not true.
Not true, obviously, but it took a couple episodes, like I think 2 or 3, for us to finally get to that point. um I think I just resonate with that because Gohan had always been my low-key favorite character in the show. And to see that Goku, even though, he is touted as one of the worst fathers in anime, had so much faith in his son that his son is potentially stronger than him at that point of the series. To see that, of course, with anime, it's the power of friendship as well. But to see him go like defeat Cell, who was at that time unbeatable, with one arm after he had already beat him, but his dad was like, "Here's a sensu bean, go full strength on this nigga." So I just thought that whole, in fact, it's like the whole Cell games is like my favorite arc in all of Dragon Ball. That particular arc is incredible. And Cell's probably one of my favorite Dragon Ball Z villains.
We're
And
doing
I
instant, we're doing instant transmissions into this bitch. The fuck going
I
on?
I don't know what happened
It's
That
to
all
nigga
good.
said,
He'll
Chung.
be back. He didn't go. He'll be back.
Yeah,
But yeah,
maybe
so
Will could help us out with him. There he is.
he's back.
"Came back."
He's back.
So
Oh,
um
he's back in.
but yeah, so yeah, that's probably my favorite Dragon Ball Z moment. That shit
Um,
was just kind of amazing.
Now, I agree with you. I loved all the Cell game stuff.
Oh, the last thing I wanted to say is I was just upset the fact that they keep bringing back Frieza, and I get Frieza. Frieza is such an iconic character, but like I'd rather them bring back Cell. I thought Cell was a lot more.
they
He had more depth
they
in his.
kind of did that with Cell Max, kind of.
Yeah, it's not the same
It's
thing.
not the same. I know.
You know
I
what
know
I'm
it's not the same. I know.
saying.
It's not the same.
They literally
Well,
gave this nigga's a god now.
what would you say Dragon Ball as a whole just like means for you in your life?
My childhood. I mean, I remember waking up Saturdays, watching it on. Waking up early to go to school, watching it on WB, staying up late on Saturdays, watching on Toonami. It's just my childhood. Like when I think of Dragon Ball, I think of just unnecessary yelling in my house because we're trying to charge up with Goku. I remember when Goku was like, give me your energy. Take it, nigga, please. Like, here. You feel me? So yeah, I think and without Dragon Ball, I know others are gonna say this. I'm gonna let other people go. But without Dragon Ball, we don't, or Dragon Ball Z, we don't get a lot of the anime, all the anime that we have gotten, especially in the shonen
Genre.
And even other TV shows, animated shows have copied, or I don't want to say copy, but they've used Dragon Ball Z content in their show. One of my favorite cartoon shows, Billy and Mandy, had an episode where Billy and Mandy both went Super Saiyan.
I remember that.
The name of the episode is Chicken Ball if you want to go check it out. But yeah.
Chicken Ball is hilarious.
Crispin, what's your favorite like Dragon Ball moment of all time?
That one is my favorite too, but I have
Father
another
son
one.
kamehaha.
I have another one.
Okay.
And it's from actual Dragon Ball right at the beginning, right at the start.
I'm ready for it.
So Goku meets Bulma, and Bulma is sleeping.
You know where this is going.
Oh no! Why is this his favorite moment and like not?
No, I'm gonna tell you why. Because I forgot that happened, and I watched it in 2020 when my daughter was born. I was rewatching Dragon Ball. I was like, hey, I'm gonna just watch Dragon Ball again. And I noticed it's like episode 2 or 3, bro. Like dead ass. It's like 2 or 3. And Bulma's sleeping, and Goku just goes, and he goes, "You don't have what I have," and he goes, that moment was hilarious. That was so funny, and also he took her panties off and shit.
He did. He was trying to get to the bottom of this mystery.
And Bulma was just there, like with nothing. And then Master Roshi goes, Master Roshi's like, "I'll give you the Dragon Ball if you show me your panties." And she goes like this with no panties on. Hilarious.
Yeah,
super funny. That was one of my. Because it was funny. It was just hilarious that happened. Also, when Goku did the Kamehameha for the first time.
Oh, and then blew up the car.
So casual.
It
was so casual. It wasn't even funny. How casual he did that Kamehameha wasn't even funny. Those were the two moments that I really liked from the first part of Dragon Ball.
Dragon Ball. And
it was just funny.
And what would you say for you that like Dragon Ball or any of Toriyama's work like means for you in your life?
You know, I'm not a big gamer, so I didn't really saw like Dragon Quest. I didn't play. I did play the Dragon Ball Z and like all the Dragon Ball games, but I would say the anime itself, because when I was living in DR and shit, like lights used to go out and
pitch black.
Like pitch black. But in Latin America and the Caribbean, Dragon Ball would run every day as a rerun. Like they would just put episodes when the episodes in Japan in Spanish were done, they would just start from the beginning and do it again and add the last episode at the end of that run. So they would do like reruns. Yeah, they would do no, it would be a long like and nobody would miss it. Like grown ups, kids, like nobody would miss it. What I remember most is like going to the corner store and because they used to put anime, it was to be Pokemon at 12 at 1, then Digimon, then Saint Seiya, and then Dragon Ball like at 5. They put Dragon Ball at 5 because in DR there's 2 school times. One in the morning from 7 to like 1, and then from like 2 to like 5, the other side of the kids go to school. It was just like that. I don't know why they did it like that or why they still do it like that, but that's how that works. But Dragon Ball was at the end of both, so everybody could watch it. Type shit. Like it was so big in DR, and that's what I remember the most. Like how big of an event it was every day to see a freaking Dragon Ball Z episode.
Got you. Thank you
Yeah.
for sharing that. Shawnee, do you have a favorite moment in Dragon Ball? Like any Dragon Ball series, favorite moment?
Goku going Super Saiyan 3 against Boo. Because for me, I was a very like Dragon Ball was very like, you when GT came out, you had Super Saiyan 4, and I know GT is technically not canon, but we still count it. It's not canon.
It's not canon.
Toriyama gave them the okay to work with the properties. Like I'm pretty sure he would not have called
That
the
was-
Grand Tour and put a
That was all.
on it.
That was all Toei Animation staff put together GT,
Yeah.
and somebody completely different drew Super Saiyan 4. It was like all of that stuff was all Toei. None of that was.
Do you think Toriyama would have willingly killed Dolph Piccolo? Come on.
Dragon Ball GT is a canonical series among the Dragon Ball franchise.
Whatever
It's not
website
canon.
you're reading is wrong.
Doesn't
I'm
matter.
telling you that it's not.
It's not canon because if it was canon, then you wouldn't have Super that is canon to the timeline.
I mean,
That's why
it's okay. It's okay, Shawnee. Please let us know your stuff. I apologize for interrupting.
Yeah. But yeah, so seeing him go Super Saiyan 3 was just dope because I love the transformations and whatnot, and just the fact of him like, everybody knows in Dragon Ball the first transformation is the most like over exaggerated, impactful hype, and then afterwards they just do it like it's nothing. And being a kid back then, and you're going to school, like Dragon Ball was the shit. Dragon Ball, you were in the hallway screaming, going Super Saiyan. You were doing Kamehameha waves before you were doing the Naruto runs, depending on when you were in school. But
Right.
yeah, it's just iconic in that. And for me, Dragon Ball is just kind of like it essentially is the pioneer of American OG anime, like the Tsunami block. It was kind of, without people realizing, it was their gateway anime into anime what we have today is. So it's iconic, it's nostalgic, it's like it's like you guys said earlier, no matter what you watch, what you see, there's always a Dragon Ball reference in it in some way, shape, or form. And it's always hilarious how they give credit to Dragon Ball in their own unique way in the animes. So it's just fire. Like Dragon Ball Dragon Ball is Dragon Ball, bro. You try to draw the Super Saiyans, you try to do the Kamehameha, you just try to emulate it so well. So it's just iconic, and it really sucks that Toriyama passed away. I agree with John. It definitely felt like a prank. I didn't believe for the first 30 minutes, and then I was like, okay, I'm seeing outlets report. Like even throughout the week, I've seen a lot of mangaka, other creators, Tite Kubo, Kishimoto had put out statements to the loss of it, and it just goes to show how much of a impact he had on the industry as a whole.
Gotcha. Well, thank you for sharing that, guys. For me personally, and I'm not really like a big Super fan, but my favorite moment actually comes from Super, and my favorite moment is that little bit of time that Goku had while they were waiting to resurrect Frieza to join the Tournament of Power, and while he's there at Baba's place, he's just reenacting this like fight in his head that he was having. Like, so he was doing all of the moves and all of the blocks and the strikes and everything, and if you don't really realize it, because at first I didn't realize it, it was something that was pointed out like on the internet later on, and I went back and was just kind of like, oh shit, yeah, this really is what it is that Goku was remembering the fight that he had against his grandpa Gohan there when he got a chance to fight Gohan when Baba brought him back for one day, brought him back to life so they could spar, they could have that little tournament. And just seeing Goku kind of just like killing time and just like fondly reminiscing on his grandpa was just like a real pure Dragon Ball moment. It's like pure Goku, pure innocent kid Goku that just, like never changes. Like it doesn't matter like how many power-ups, transformations, all the stuff that Goku goes through. Like he's still the same character that we saw in Dragon Ball. And that moment, when he realizes that it's Grandpa Gohan that he's fighting is, super emotional for him to finally be able to see his grandpa again after, living without him for the rest of his childhood. So that was like my favorite moment just because of the callback. And Dragon Ball for me is kind of like everything that started it all. The spark that ignited my love and passion for anime, for manga, for all types of things, Japanese culture related. I was a part of the kids that would try to draw these characters and buy the toys and as I got older, collect the figures and play all the games. And like I talked in the past about me playing all these Legacy of Goku games on the Game Boy, and just the first two games that I asked for my PS2 was Budokai 1 and Budokai 2. Like I didn't ask for two different games. I just wanted both Budokais. Like, so just Dragon Ball was just so important to me and was just everything for me as a kid growing up. And like I got into Toriyama's other works later on in life because as a kid I didn't have a Super Nintendo. I didn't play Dragon Quest either. Like I didn't get exposed to a lot of that stuff at an early age. But Dragon Ball was truly special, something I looked forward to every day after school. And something that just got me through just a big chunk of my life. It took forever for us to get like all the way to the end of the Buu saga in the United States, like when they finally started airing all the dub stuff. We were trapped in the Namek saga for years until Funimation started dubbing everything over after the Ocean dub stopped. So that's what Dragon Ball means to me. And I appreciate hearing everybody's stories and appreciations for Akira Toriyama and his work in Dragon Ball as a whole. Toriyama's inspired so many artists. Even like Oda has written about his relationship with Toriyama and how he was such a mentor to mangaka like him and countless others. Tite Kubo, the mangaka for Bleach, almost like quit manga altogether until being motivated by Toriyama to pursue Bleach after his previous project was rejected. So we probably wouldn't have even had Bleach without Toriyama's influence. There's just so much to give him credit for. It's really sad to see him go at the age of 68. He could have lived a much longer life than that. But the life of a mangaka is very stressful. Toriyama barely ever took vacations. Toriyama took one vacation when he finished Dr. Slump and right before starting Dragon Ball. And he was a chain smoker, real heavy chain smoker, so he wasn't the healthiest person, but he was full of creativity and full of passion. And, we all appreciate him and his legacy for what he gave to us and the culture. So thank you, Toriyama. You will be greatly missed. May you rest in peace.